Hey YouTube, what is up? Welcome to this video about getting started with epoxy. So my name is Joshua, I'm a starting artist in Barcelona, and yeah, this is my little workshop here that I have. I'm only here now for a few months, and I work with all kinds of materials, metal, wood, practically anything that I can get my hands on. And the idea started with one of these light art pieces, an infinity cube. I call these a Psyramid. You can see these in my other videos, I'll post them in the description. But this video is really about like kind of how I got started on using epoxy in an art form. Now I'll switch over to the table, but before we do that, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to comment on what you saw in the video, and subscribe if you want to see more, because there really is much more coming in the future. Alright, let's switch over. So as you can see, yeah, the table is quite full. There is quite a lot of stuff to show you, but actually it is quite simple once you get the technique. One of the first things I have to say, when you work with epoxy, make sure you have a fan, make sure you work in a well ventilated place. I also use a respirator when I try to get the bubbles out with the heat gun and everything for the fumes. It's really something you really need to pay attention to, especially it's a two-component chemical product, so you have the fumes. Make sure to stay away from them, make sure to do it well ventilated. And so yeah, in this video, the thing I want to replicate is one of these pieces. As you can see, it's unsanded, it's not polished, but it already has an amazing finish on it. The thing I just want to do is sand down the edges, frame it nicely, and then it's done for me. And I've already put a piece ready, so this is just on a piece of MDF, also left over that I found. I cut it up all into the same sizes. And I think it's like 1.5 centimeters, so 15 millimeters thick. That doesn't really matter. Of course, it makes it easier to tape up the edges. The thicker the wood, the easier it is to tape off. And the way to get these star dots, which already makes it a nice piece of wood, so you just use normal black spray paint. It's exactly this that I use. Let that dry, and then you take your white spray paint. And the thing that I do is I hold it upside down and I spray little bit by little bit to really get nice dots. There are different techniques to get these dots, and like the flickering technique when you put the paint on your fingers with the gloves on, it's like you can get really stripes and everything. And yeah, I don't know any stars that are a stripe. Most stars are round as far as I know, so in this way you really get all nice and round dots. So this is the epoxy that I got. To be honest, I bought it on Amazon. I put a link in the description. It's two-component, and it's very well described. So it's a well-known company. As far as I did my research, there's a lot of epoxy companies in Germany with high quality. That must have a historical reason or something. But yeah, you can see clearly this is component A. It's A to B 2 to 1. This is component B, A to B 2 to 1. So it means 2 times this, 1 times this one, 2 centimeters of this, 1 centimeter of this, 2 liters of this, 1 liter of this. It's very easy. I do see many different epoxies, and I'm probably going to switch because I want to do deeper pours. The paintings are not so much of my interest anymore. I want to start making LED lights with epoxy. And so yeah, what I have to add to this is when you buy epoxy, make sure to keep in mind the technical specifications of the epoxy that you buy. As you can see, there's quite a lot to be read and written and to be known before you buy epoxy. Like for example, the one I have, it's not really for deep pours. It's actually really good to make these paintings, and actually just because as you can see, this is not very thick. It's only a few millimeters. It hardens out very good. And the only thing to take into account today, it's quite chilly. I think it's 12 or 13 degrees in the workshop, so I'll have to warm these up. I'll take hot water, just put both of them in there for like 15 minutes so that they have a warmer temperature, because this is a liquid. The colder it gets, the more solidified it gets, the warmer it gets, the more liquid it gets again. So yeah, that makes it easier to work with here. Well, there they go. That'll do for now. So while they warm up, I'll do the rest of the explanation. So yeah, as I said before, yeah, a respirator, very important. Also gloves, protective gloves. Have to take in mind it's a chemical product. For me to mix, I actually just use these small mixing cups. 220 cc's, 350 cc's. and these are just drinking cups. These are probably the cheapest way to mix because it's always small amounts. And make sure that it's level. Now it's not leveled out, it's just laying on the table. I'll level it before we get started with the pouring and everything, but that's something super important to keep in mind, that your piece is level before you start your pouring. Also, I got some stainless steel tools, for example a straw when you need your technique, when you need for blowing example. These are little pincers, also little mixing tools, all very easy to take out dust, also to apply different techniques. But again, this is a simple video, not too many techniques will be shown. It's just to get a nice piece with simple techniques in a simple way for somebody who really just wants to get started with epoxy. And yeah, for taping off, I use the Chinese version of 3M tape, the 3W one. I'll show the piece once it's taped off, step by step. The taping off will be a bit difficult to film, but yeah, we'll see how that works. And this is a mica powder, just a test set. So again, for somebody who gets started, I could really recommend this set. I really like the way the colors come out. As you can see, the pieces look really nice. These are all just test pieces, but all just getting started with epoxy. So yeah, this I could really advise buying. I'll put a link in the description. It also comes from Amazon. Some paper towels to clean, some alcohol spray to clean your tools or your surface when you did an oopsie. And yeah, I always keep a mold to the side because yeah, when you have some epoxy left over, it's very easy to pour it in these molds, because I'm gonna make platforms for levitating devices, and yeah, I'm gonna use these for that, or a coaster for example, or just little pieces of jewelry. So this is my heat gun. You can use these for different things when working with epoxy, to blow out bubbles, to apply again different techniques. Like for example, this is a piece where I use the heat gun on a lot, so that these colors mix in and really blend out and in different ways. And also just a very small gas powered blowtorch. That is actually the one that I use for the bubbles that don't pop when I use this one. I think with today's temperature, maybe the bubbles will come out a bit harder, but again, about for like 10 minutes ago, I put these in there. Now the last step to take before we're gonna mix our epoxy is, so this is the way I tape my piece off. I just put it always on the same box, and the first step I take is just go around the piece. This is going to give you a very good layer for your next tape to stick to, that's going to be on the side. And yeah, I'll show that in the next clip. So I just took step number 2 in the taping of our little epoxy project here. And as you can see, the second line is just so, here's line number 1 of tape. You just shift it halfway so that it goes nicely over the border, and that you can create this little wall so that your epoxy doesn't flow off of your painting. There are techniques where people let it flow off. I try to use a technique where that doesn't happen, to save on epoxy and paint. Also, yeah, just to know much more how the piece is going to be finished like. And now, of course, it's not perfect all the way around, so this is a process. You can repeat this as much as you want. Just the last time, make sure you go one more time fully over it, so that your seams are nicely closed, so that your epoxy doesn't run all the way off. So yeah, I took the final step in taping off our piece. In total, it's like 5 layers that I did. I did one extra, and the only thing is last that you have to do is really tuck it all in nicely, make sure it's all taped up really good. Sorry for the shaking, but yeah, I'm really bad at filming this stuff. I will improve, that's a promise. And so one of the last little things is for the corners. I kind of tug these in a little bit. It makes the tape a little bit stronger. If necessary, if your tape is slacking down, you can, like, for example, tape pieces of wood to the back so that it stays nice and straight. But this piece, yeah, it's quite small. It's not necessary. So yeah, let's switch over to the mixing. Okay, so now we're fully prepared to start mixing our 2-component epoxy. As you can see, there's a nice clean surface. The piece is sitting nice and level the way it should. We have a lot of room to walk around and to work around. And also make sure when you start mixing that you've put everything nice in order the way you want to do it. As stated before, the thing we're replicating in this video, this is a bit hard to film, is this piece. This is actually just a 1-layer piece. where I start with a clear coat of epoxy, which will be one of the bigger cups because we need much more of that. First we cover practically the entire surface, then quickly we make a second pour where we use our colors. These three represent these three little cups. Yeah, you'll see how it goes. It's just little bit by little bit. You'll see. So yeah, guys, the way that I mix my epoxy now when I use mica powder, it's a procedural thing to kind of avoid the dust and everything, because the mica powder, it's really terrible. And this time, yeah, I'm doing it without a respirator so that I can talk to you guys and you guys can hear me. So I've measured off my cup. Again, 2 component, 2 times A, 1 time B. If I'm not mistaken, this is 9 centimeters, so you have 6 centimeters of component A and 3 centimeters of component B. Now some would say, yeah, this is wider, this is thinner, but actually in this case this is not a problem because it's quite chilly, it's quite cold, so to use a little bit more hardener is actually prescribed, so that's not an issue. And again, for the base coat, so the thing I start with, it's this powder, I don't know what's the name, of course, it's from this test kit. Again, I'll put the link in the description. And this is what I use to create this shine feeling, to create the fingerling, the pizzazz. I don't really know how to describe it correctly. And also, as you can see, it's quite a lot to be mixed. So I use a second cup to go from one cup to another. And the way that I start, I'll show you guys. So I actually start by putting the epoxy into the cup. Make sure to take your time for this, to not spill, to not put too much in. And again, because I warmed it up, it's nice and liquid now. Much better to work with under these cold conditions. And so at this moment is where I put the mica powder in, because you have, of course, you have less dust when there's already a liquid inside. It catches it, and because you still need to mix, it'll just be perfectly mixed all together. And again, yeah, this is the base coat. You don't need too much of this mica powder. As you can see, it's already flying around, trying to take my distance here. Okay, nice. And then, yeah, last but not least, is to pour in component B, the hardener. And once you start pouring, that's when the chemical reaction starts. It produces heat. Don't leave it out for too long, because your cup will start catching fire. It is a quite dangerous product if you don't know what you're doing. And again, nice and slowly, don't over pour. There you go, component B. Time to mix. Make sure to scrape the sides, and again, yeah, I use the second cup to pour it from one to the other. And by doing it, by first putting in your mica powder on top of your epoxy and then your hardener, yeah, everything just gets mixed more nicely. If you first mix your epoxy with your hardener and then add your mica powder, your time window is getting shorter. One cup to the other, keep on mixing. Okay, that's looking quite good. It's mixed already now. I'm mixing already for, I think, 4 minutes. So really, guys, you need to be sure this is mixed very well, very well. But yeah, let's switch over to some pouring. So yeah, the second cup that I used for mixing is, I've just put it on top of it so that all the rest can drain out of it. And for the big one, you just go nice and round. Make sure that it spreads out nicely. This is going to be a nice layer. Not too much, not too little, and it's really going to give some pizzazz to the piece. And this is kind of how I always start my galaxy paintings, my starlight, nebula, whatever you want to call them. I really like those kinds of styles, but again, for me, I'm not going to continue on the paintings. I have other ideas with epoxy. One of those I'll show you, because I've made a clock using epoxy, and that is something I'd rather continue on. So yeah, as you can see, this is the perfect amount. 350cc cup, 9 centimeters. I'll put the measurements of the piece also in the description, because I don't think I've mentioned those before. I would assume 40 by 20 centimeters. So yeah, not too big, not too small. And yeah, just to spread it out. Again, the same one that I used for mixing. Just make sure that your epoxy goes everywhere. Don't push your tape to the side. And little bit by little bit, it's gonna go everywhere. So yeah, and also it's a liquid to take in mind. Like, epoxy flows where epoxy has been. So yeah, you can see also the piece is really sitting nice and level. I don't see any runoff yet. I don't see any epoxy flowing where it shouldn't be flowing. Voila, that is our base coat. So yeah, as stated before, I jump into straight away mixing the colors, because it's kind of just a one layer piece. I don't wait on the first layer to cure. So it's a bit different procedure now, because we're going to use 3 different colors, which is purple, this nice blue, and this cyan, if I'm not mistaken, is the right term for it. And yeah, so first I mix my epoxy, just clear epoxy, put these into the cups, and then I put my color into it. It gives you a little bit of a smaller window to work with it, but that's not a problem. It's a small quantity. The bigger the quantity, the more temperature that gets developed. So in this case, that won't be a problem if these cups get used for several minutes. So yeah, let's start mixing again. First, our epoxy component A, 2 parts, which in this case is 4 centimeters. And then component B, the hardener, which is 2 centimeters. And again, yeah, the cup is a bit wider on top, which gives you actually a little bit more hardener than prescribed. But yeah, temperatures are a bit lower, and if you look to the technical specifications, they do up the hardener amount. So yeah, try to mix this as quick as possible. But again, it's strange to say to do something as quick as possible while you have to take your time for it. So yeah, again, a couple of minutes of mixing. Try to use different cups. I have 3. I'll use one of them to switch over a few times, and then adding the colors in the 3 cups. Okay. Okay, so yeah, the epoxy has been mixed. The small cup is done, and we have our 3 clear coats here now ready to put in the colors. And yeah, so the best way to do this is you go from light to dark. So first, just in this order, this will be the best way. You have to do this a little bit quick, you know, because yeah, again, like once it's poured, yeah, I need to take my distance a bit for the powder. And with this, I'm going to use much more than before, because this really needs to be potent, this really needs to be colorful, and needs to pop. So 2 of these scoops will do. Voila, that's the first. Oh, that was one big scoop. By far my favorite color of this whole box, the purple and the blue, by far. So yeah, these need to be mixed now quite quickly. So yeah, as you can see, this is all nicely mixed now. We have our colors standing ready. And yeah, this is probably like the most fun step of all. Everything has been prepared. We have our clear coat on it, as you can see. This already has a nice finish. I didn't pop any bubbles on this piece yet. I didn't do anything to it. I just poured the first layer, as you saw before. It has a nice shine. It's difficult to see. I think here you can see it a little bit. But yeah, now it's really time to start recreating this little feeling here. So I got a little bit more purple than expected. So yeah, I'm first going to start off with that. Always mix a bit. I pinch these cups. And yeah, just start off from one corner to another, I think. Yeah, something like this, something like this. Whoops, voila. Right, yeah, that's a nice one. That's good. Second one, let's go. Whoop. Okay. And just go over the same line again, nice and gently. It doesn't matter if you miss a spot or if it drips a bit wrong. We're all just getting started on this here, guys. Same for me. Okay, nice. Really, really love these colors. Love these colors. And there we go. Oops. And again. I don't know why. I always seem to start in one corner and end up in the other one for some reason. And yeah, this is looking good. Again, let's start off with the purple again because we still got the most of that. Let's just do some random stuff right over everything else. Yeah, let's go there. Let's go there. Good. Take some of that blue again. Now you can do this in any order you want. You can do this with any color you want, of course. This is just to show you guys kind of how I started. Because I'm only doing this for a couple of months now. And yeah, the thing that takes the most time for me is actually the LED pieces I'm working on. This is not my main focus right now, the epoxy. So I kind of consider it as a hobby right now. Okay, oh, didn't really follow the line there. Okay, it's already starting to look pretty good. I'm going to set up the heat gun. Yeah, I'm going to set up the heat gun, do some blowing and see how it works out then, and maybe we can still do some changes. So yeah, this is the heat gun I have. Let's see, 1600 watts. Yeah, it's pretty strong. It has two heats on it, only one speed. I need different tips for it, but yeah, again, for this piece it's all good. So yeah, let's do some blowing here. Cool, so we went over with our heat gun the first time. A lot of bubbles have already been popped. You can actually see it. Let's go over it like this. This looks actually already pretty good, but yeah, I'm gonna add some more color because as you can see, we still got some left. So yeah, let's continue a bit with the pour. Let's try to replicate a little bit more things like that. That's really nice, yeah. Okay, time for some more blowing, I think, first. Because the thing you actually do with this heat gun is you push your mica powder deeper in, you give it different directions so it spreads out, so it mixes with the other layers and so on. Okay guys, what do you think? This thing is looking spectacular. It's actually looking better than the one I'm basing it on. Especially this part here. For some reason I really like the way this looks. This looks amazing. So yeah, as you can see, I literally just got it started a few months ago. I didn't work with it too much because really my time is mostly occupied with working on those light pieces, as the one you can see there. I'm really developing those to make them a real product. But yeah, this piece turned out pretty nice, you know. The only thing I might need to do is pop some bubbles here and there. Yeah, you can still see some bubbles here and there, but I mean, that's really just surface bubbles. So to be honest, I don't even think it's going to be very necessary for this. I mean, look at this. This is looking great, guys. I hope all of you are having a good result. Because yeah, of course, it isn't my first time, but I mean, yeah, I don't know which one's best now. Let me know in the comment section, which one do you think is best? The one you and I just made together, or this one? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let me know. Okay, guys, so this piece really turned out great. I just did a little bit of more blowing on it with the heat gun, and it came out just, I mean, even better than I expected. I love the mixing of the colors, you know. Again, these are my favorite colors to use with epoxy. And yeah, I don't even have to use this little one here because there's a few little bubbles on it, and you need to take into account it's a painting. It's not a countertop or anything. For me, this doesn't have to be perfect because yeah, we're all just getting started here. See, you can see some of them. But they're all on the surface, which means if you would sand and polish this piece and then just clear coat it with a very, very thin coat on top, it's not even necessary to take this step. Because taking this step can sometimes overheat your epoxy and you could even ruin your piece, especially when you're just getting started. So yeah, maybe it's just also because of using the right epoxy and because of warming it up that there are not too many bubbles. But again, yeah, this piece turned out great. Now you can see here the only thing I've done is just put a little piece of wood to the side. I saw a little bit of the tape coming off. This is just to prevent that yeah, my epoxy is going to run away. All the rest is sticking quite nicely. So yeah, this piece is going to stay the way it looks right now. And as you can see, like for the leftover epoxy, I got these molds here, so I've just poured the leftover epoxy in there. The only thing I'm going to do is blow some bubbles on there, so you can still see this actually in this video, guys, because yeah, I'm not going to do it on this painting. It's totally not necessary. So just a very, very small blowtorch that I have, and just by gently going over it, see, most of them are already gone. But it's a bit difficult to film this for you guys, really. Okay, going around, voila, nice, perfect. Same thing here. You can see them quite well. All right. Ah. Okay, so now we are the day after. The piece has cured for about 24 hours. Normally it still has to cure like for at least almost a week, especially in the colder temperatures. I should move it to a little bit of a warmer location. Also the leftover epoxy cured out. Now in this video I'm not going to sand or polish the piece, but again, as you can see, I mean this has quite a nice finish to it. Nice and hard, really cured already just for after a day. The tape didn't run off. The only thing I had to do on one side was, because I saw the epoxy running off a little bit, was put this piece of wood to the side to be more sure. But yeah, this piece turned out nice, guys. Okay guys, so yeah, that's about it for this video, and yeah, I hope some of you picked something up. I hope some of you learned something, and I hope some of you are gonna like and subscribe to see more. And yeah, it was a bit difficult for me to film. For me, it was the first time filming me doing something with epoxy, so I hope I didn't forget too much. I hope I have put it all in the right order, and I hope you guys are going to continue watching my channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, guys. Greetings from Barcelona. Ciao, bye.